I have some questions that were submitted to me in advance. We'll go through these questions. Once they finish talking, then we'll open up to the audience for any questions that you'd like to ask. And so we have Sam Rosenblatt on the right, or everyone's left. Sam is from Maryland, Brett Mills from Utah, and then Jason Spears from Arizona, and Charlie Bates is in California, and Brian Kirby in Colorado. How do you differentiate yourself in the market from other originators? We're going to start with Sam.
One of the things that I did years ago is I noticed that a lot of realtors had their pictures on their business cards and their email, and I immediately copied that very early on in my career, and I noticed that not very many mortgage originators put a picture. And so I found that by putting my big head on lots of different things, people remembered me. I put really a true face with what I did. And so everything that I did, all my marketing, wanted to sort of put a brand out, which I created called the Rosenblatt Group. Even though the group isn't very large. I surround myself with some support staff, but the way I differentiate myself is that people know that when they see my name on an approval letter, the loan's going to get closed. My honesty, my integrity, my product knowledge, I think goes a long way over my competition, and I'll frequently get calls from agents or CPAs asking me, scenarios. And I'm just the go-to guy, and that's what I wanted to do. I wanted people to know if they had Sam Rosenblatt on their loan, the loan was going to close on time.
A few different themes, I believe, out there. One thing that I try to do is on every loan application to add 1 to 2 additional value adds beyond the mortgage. I learned this just more from CPAs than anything, as people come in and you get the same discussion. Why isn't my CPA giving me more ideas? And I believe when they come into us, they're looking for a broader depth out there. And so whether it's looking at their taxes and trying to give them a pointer or two and then referring them out to the appropriate people, financial advising, looking at their life insurance, looking at their investments, all those types of things, I believe people are looking for a little bit more value add out there just in general as they come to us as financial professionals. And so the more we can add to that, it creates us as a hub when they're looking for anything financial. We want them to be calling us. Another important element, I think, to differentiate out there is to be involved in your communities. Teaching high school financial literacy classes, be involved in your professional organizations in your local communities. The more you're out there, you just brand yourself naturally as the go-to person, as Sam was talking about out there. And then lastly, I think it's critical when you're producing out there. I think it's easy to just turn and burn them, but I think it's important to share your unique value proposition with every single client, with all your referrals, every single time. They've got to know the story out there, because I think too often we have them say, hey, call Brett, he's a good guy, but if they can kick off your unique value proposition and what makes you unique out there, gives people a reason to call. And our referral partners, if they don't know that, they can't share that. Same with our clients. We have to continually ingrain that. It's easy for me, at least, to get lazy on that and to forget to do that in every transaction. So we have to give people a reason to refer and keep the business growing.
My pointers are not going to be anything novel, but it's something in how I was raised, 3 different things that is everyday focus on my job, my world, my team. Basically, 1, we do what we say. If you're going to call someone back in 15 minutes, you call them back in 13 minutes, even if you don't have the answer, period, the end. Second thing is everyone gets a phone call back in 15 minutes, 7 days a week. That's something that every person I see says, oh, you're the 15-minute guy. You do that, you will get continuous phone calls. And then the last thing on our team we've coined is the 27/7 team. And that's because we work so darn much, we find a way to put an extra 3 hours in every day.
I don't even know where to go after that. I think most of what we do is all pretty basic, and I think all of us probably pretty much do similar things. I'm in a small marketplace, and the big thing is I just know more than my competition. If somebody's got a question, whether I'm doing the deal or not, they'll call me. So it's, from a knowledge standpoint, it's knowing more, again, closing them on time. It's all basic, but unfortunately what I see is a lot of the new loan officers or loan officers that aren't producing that much skip the basic things and are always looking for the magic marketing piece or that magic rate or something that's going to magically make their business take off instead of just doing the basic things and working.
pretty much everything's already been said, but I guess the two things I would highlight on there is just product knowledge and probably follow through. Probably spend a considerable amount of time just reading guidelines, just anything I think I don't know. I spend time every morning, probably 30, 45 minutes every morning going through whatever I can to just pick up on anything I can. Like Charlie was saying, that's what people call me, is to, if they need a quick answer and they know it's the right answer, just try to deliver on that. And like Sam and some of the other guys said, for me, it's just follow through. If somebody calls up or needs something, I'll always follow through and get it done. Even if it means it's a tough phone call for a decline or for whatever it might be, I just get at it. The only other thing I would probably throw in there is just I don't spend a lot of time getting ready to get ready to get ready. A lot of guys that I know that just kind of sit there just trying to perfect a piece of marketing material or trying to just always getting ready. I just do it, and it might not be perfect, but I just get out there and do it, and then I learn from mistakes, and then just keep going out there and doing it again. So I like to just take action, and as opposed to just kind of prepping to prep to prep to prep. I'd just rather go do it.
If you could share with the group one key thing that you did early in your career to take your production up to the next level.
So one of the things that I did in 2004, so 2004 was one of the first years of the refi boom, and I worked my butt off. I was working 7 days a week, 18 hours a day, and I closed, I think, 404 loans that year. And I realized that those clients could be potential clients. You always read about in the trade magazines, the client for life type thing, where the client's going to do X number of transactions over their lifetime, and they should do them with you. It really works. I mean, some of the things that you read of successful originators, everyone has the same thing. And I realized very early on that my existing client base could be a huge, huge source of referrals. And some of you who are on the East Coast call, I use the description of a wheel, and there's a hub, and there's spokes. So each client is in the center, and then off of there's spokes. There's the referral source, whether it's the family, the friend, the coworker, the CPA, the financial planner, the insurance company. So I realized that anytime I spoke to a client, not only did I have a chance at just their loans, but their circle of influence or their sphere. So how did I do that? Well, one of the things I did is send out closing gifts. Early on, it was a very simple gift. It was candy in a jar. And then I realized, well, wait a minute, after the candy's eaten, the jar goes away, I'm not going to be out there. So then I said, okay, let me get some stuff that's going to stay out there. So everything that I send in my closing gifts stays. So I don't do the seasonal sports schedules because every year they have to be replaced and it's expensive. So I do jar openers, cutting boards, corkscrews, zip drive, what do you call them? Thank you, flash drives, recyclable bags. So my name, my picture, my stuff is all over the place. And so you really, when you close a transaction, it's not just it's over. You have an opportunity to get a lot of referrals from that person. So 2004, 400 loans. 2005, coincidentally enough, I did, I think, 403. So I just had 800 loans right there in those 2 years. And from there, the business just exploded. And then I was fortunate enough to come to Academy, and now my purchase business has exploded as well because of the resources we have here.
With me, I think what helped make my business take off is I'm running about 90% purchase, and it's all realtor based. So early on, any reason I could, I was out in real estate office. Pre-approval letters, I didn't fax them, I didn't email them, I hand delivered them. Every time I was there, it was meeting a new realtor, talking about what the realtors needed and then be able to provide that. It's not necessarily the fastest way to grow your business, but I think the longevity is there. In doing so, I've managed to develop relationships with a lot of realtors slowly, but they're now solid relationships, and they've been able to keep my business, at the upper levels through the market changes, whether they've been good or bad. So I think that's, the biggest thing there was just developing those realtor relationships.
How would you break down the typical day in terms of activities and how long you spend on each? And just for the managers in the room, Brett is a manager also of a branch, and so he will have a slant that way with the answer.
I don't work 27/7, so I'm lazy, I guess. I'm a Monday through Friday guy. I get to the office typically every morning at 7. From 7 to 8 is my busy work, paperwork pushing time just to clean up odds and ends. And then I'm typically booked in appointments from 8 to 11. I do a little bit of follow-up, kind of 11 to 11:30. And then 11:30 to 1, almost every day I'm coaching, whether it's business planning with a realtor referral partner, a builder, or one of my loan officers that works with me. And so every day, really from that time, I spend time coaching. From that point on, it's appointments again from typically about 1 through, start my last appointment at 4, done at 5, clean up for a half hour on some return phone calls, and then I'm home by 5:45.
I need to.
Can you explain your 27 years?
Yeah. I need to visit that branch and become a little more effective. My days are the same. I focus on closed loans. I work as anything that's closest to funding or funding takes priority in my day when I first show up. If I have a loan that I need to get to loan documents, that takes next priority. If I have a loan that needs to get submitted to processing with the contract, takes next priority. Application, so I start with everything that's closest to our goal, which is funding a loan. That's what I do. Everything else, taking 4 applications in between, or doing what you need to do, of course, but that's my shell on how I do things. I start my day and finish my day with the most important thing, that's funded loans.
Okay, our next question is for Brian, Charlie, and Sam. I'm going to let all three, because this one focuses on if you have an assistant or part of a team, how do you leverage that group, that assistant or that team in your business?
So Damon and I run our business together. We also run with kind of a crew of, we don't really consider them assistants by chance. We've got real loan officers that work all as a team together. So we got 4 of them. And basically, I think we start off by really working with and hiring the best. So we don't just bring on assistants. We bring on real loan officers that know what they're doing. And basically what we do is we just structure the file, build up a rapport with the client, either get the loan locked, and then we hand it off and they run with it to the finish line. Everything from going to closings and everything, and at that point we're really only stepping in if the file needs a little bit of help, a little nudge here and there. But we do weekly pipeline management. We do a lot of pipeline management, just figuring out where things are at, and really pushing a high degree of accountability to the team members to handle everything that they need to handle on that loan, and knowing when to come to us, when they actually do need help. And they do a phenomenal job with it, but really it's about letting that leash out, letting them talk with your realtors, letting them talk with your best clients, letting them establish a rapport with them so that, when you're slammed or you're, in a meeting or something and someone's calling and needing something, that they feel comfortable talking to a team member. And the team we have, we just have a phenomenal team. So it's at the end of the day, it's about the people.
All right, well, I'm still learning how to manage this. I've got 1 assistant, but it sounds like I need to go to Utah and meet with Brett and then head over to Colorado and figure out how to run my assistant. So with me, it's still a work in progress. I had 1 assistant for about 9 years, and we promoted her to an underwriter last summer. So new assistants always not very much fun. You're trying to figure out what they can do, what you can do, and get those things, dialed in. So for me, that's still a work in progress. Right now, my assistant mostly manages, paperwork. She's chasing title work, chasing things missing on approvals, following up on appraisals. A lot of my realtors don't necessarily trust going to an assistant, so I do spend a lot of that time myself dealing directly with the realtors and clients. But yeah, to me, it's a work in progress. I'm still working on it, and maybe I'll learn something here today.
I've gone through a number of assistants, but I have one that's with me now for 11 years. And one of the things, her name's Amy Jones. One of the things I love about her is that she's very bright, and that's important for me when I'm hiring assistants, that I kind of go with sort of that best athlete on the field. I want someone that can keep up with me and keep up with my pace. And she she basically, handles the loans after I've taken the app, and whether it's pulling the credit, ordering the appraisal, the title request, it's sort of like, some people call it a scrubber or pre-processor, but she really does a lot of the work on the file so that when it does go to the actual processor, it can get off the processor's desk, get into underwriting, and then the key really to this whole assistant thing is getting an approval back with little to no conditions, so you can just work on the next file. So it's sort of like garbage in, garbage out. And that's one thing that is so important in our business. A lot of loan officers will throw their file together, things will be cut off, dates will be missed off. Well, we don't even turn those in. Amy does a great job explaining a borrower how to photograph a driver's license or how to send a pay stub in. Just the little things that drive underwriters crazy when the files are incomplete. So I have Amy's basically she does most of the stuff on the front end, and I have another one that helps out with marketing, and she's also actually they're both licensed, so they can help out and take apps. The second assistant is very good with the refi. She's kind of coming together with doing the purchase worksheet, so I think that'll really help expand the business. But having an assistant, if you're a producer, it actually makes your business grow, without a doubt. So, for some of you who may not have the volume to justify the corporate paying it, but paying somebody or getting someone to help out, it really can make a difference.
To share with the group any specific marketing practices that you believe have made a significant difference in your production, Brett?
Marketing practices. Not a lot of secrets to that. It's the branding that Sam talked about, just to be consistent in the brand. I agree wholeheartedly with him. Get things in the hands of our clients that are going to stay and just create that memory, keep coming back in their homes. I use a magazine it's called Designing Wealth, that I found that most of my clients don't get a financial magazine just looking at the demographics in their homes, and so that was one thing that I used. It's a quarterly update. It's something that's not always mortgage related, but financial related, like I was talking about earlier, just to add value in some way, shape, or form, just to keep in the forefront of their minds. On the marketing component with the agents, I think it's critical and important to set yourself up to win. I'm not a believer in the 10-day close. That's me. I think it breaks down our entire system. Even if we have 2 or 3 in the system that are 10-day close, we bring everything to a screeching halt and causes logistical nightmares. And so I try and plan everything 30-day close. My referral partners know that. I think it's just managing expectations out there. My referral partners know that I'm not going to call in 15 minutes. They tell their clients 48 hours. And so, but that's the expectation. As long as I get to that bar within 48 hours, they don't care. If I call it 49 hours, we have a problem out there. And so it's just managing expectations out there, setting an expectation of a 30-day close. That's fine as long as they're there. And so I think a lot of that marketing component is just managing the expectation with the client all the way through, delivering on what you've said you're going to do on that.
My number one reason for success has got to be the operational people in the Chandler branch. There's no doubt that those folks work day in, day out, weekends, whatever's necessary to meet expectations that we lay, whatever they may be. My business has literally doubled in the last year, and that's due to them and delivering on what we say we're going to do. Whether it's 10 days or whether it's 30 days or whatever, we do it day in, day out. As far as the marketing piece, the Chandler folks here and anyone who's been in our branch will know that this is actually kind of my daily appearance at the office. My business has grown because I work both sides of the transaction very well. I have it down to an art. I get a contract, day one, immediately I call both agents. Introduce myself, send them an email, introduce the process, lay out the expectations so they know where to come to get answers when they want it. Also on day one, I immediately send the LSU loan status update. Arizona Realtors came up with a novel idea for them to feel like they're working, so they send us requests for LSUs about every 4th day. So by sending it on day one, we PDF and we keep a copy, and then we'll update it and we'll forward it the same LSU loan status update along with an email saying, hey, appraisal's back. But working both sides of the transaction during the process, anytime you have something good to say or even bad, by dealing with it up front, you'll be much, much saner. People will remember that. So I call them every time there's something good. And then each step of the way, hey, the appraisal's back, no conditions, looks good. Hey, after I close this on time or early, all I ask is, for us to get together, come out and check out our branch. See why we're able to do what we're able to do. See why we're number 2 in the state of Arizona in lending. So both sides of the transaction, as far as marketing, I let Malene handle that. I just keep bringing in the clients. I know one thing that's a huge bonus is we send out a case of water to not only the client, the realtors, but also the buyer's work address. No one throws away bottled waters. And then it inquires a lot of people at the office saying, what are you doing? Who did you use? Oh, you just bought a house. I don't know. I get a lot of referrals like that, but working both sides of the transaction is important. And each step I'm asking, every time I have something good to say, I ask for a little bit more from that listing agent. A meeting, a client, a referral, that sort of thing. It's very important.
I'm going to, for each one of the panel members, like to ask for you to answer this question. If you had to start your business from scratch today, today's marketplace, how loans are done today, how would you go about it? And how is it different from when you started in the business?
That's a tough one. When I got in the business in 1995, basically my training lasted all of about 2 hours, and then my branch manager, Joel, said, go in the back, go into the dead file room, and grab a letter. And so that's what I did. I went in the back, and I grabbed all the S's, and I just started calling. And first month in the business, I think I closed 2 loans, and both of them were actually appraisal issues. Back then, the loan amounts were a lot smaller, so a $3,000 or $2,000 difference in appraisal couldn't mean the difference between doing the loan or not doing the loan. So that's how I got in the business, was basically calling the letter S. And then back then we were given telemarketing leads. This is the beginning of telemarketing and direct mail pieces. And I think between the 2, I closed like 6 loans my 3rd month. And the 4th month, it was great, and I hit a company record in terms of gross commissions. So a lot of people always ask me, how did you get in the business? And I tell them the story, and then I think about now and getting in the business, and that's why I said, wow, what a difference it's been since 1995. I think that if you get in the business now, you definitely have to have a good math aptitude, and you have to be organized. And I don't really call myself a salesman per se. A lot of people say, oh, you're a salesman. And Mike Twigg, my regional back in Baltimore, described me as a technician with a great personality. And that's really who I am and what I do. So I would say if someone wanted to get in the business now, going and joining a team where somebody is experienced and can be a mentor or a coach would be a great way to get in the business. And if you have what it takes, the business will come to you, because there's so many bad loan officers in this business, and it doesn't take that much more to differentiate yourself and just be honest and deliver. We always use the cliche, over promise. Excuse me, I'm screwing it up. Under promise and over deliver, and it's true. I mean, agents. You talk to agents or you interview agents. I mean, they are disappointed over and over again. The pre-approval letters mean nothing. People don't do what they're supposed to. Their customers get lied to. So, if you come in with the right attitude that you're going to make this a career as opposed to a job, it really, really makes a difference. And I love what I do, and it comes through in my work.
I echo everything Sam said. I started in the A's in the Rexburg phone book. So it's just simple prospecting. I don't think we can do that anymore, but just prospect. I hear so much in the industry that I work by referral. Well, that's cute if you're new. We don't have a client to work by referral out there. I'm a believer your own mother won't refer you until she's done a transaction with you, because we are in such a high stakes transaction in what we do out there. And so I will only put a sphere of influence person in my past client database if we have closed the loan for them. The statistics show that's about a 4-year life cycle before we're going to see them back. And so unless we're doing something proactive to keep in contact with that consumer, create value through that whole period, we're likely not going to see them back. I tease my agents on the same principle. They think that the second the homeowner moves into the home, they put their picture up over the fireplace, and that they remember them. No, that's not the case at all. And so we've got to be proactive in keeping up with our clients out there, and that's going to be probably a 4-year cycle before you can even start to see a portion of your business kick back in. And so it's prospect. Consumer direct most of the time. Agents, attorneys, CPAs, financial advisors, I think that they're an important component of our business out there. And so to spend time with them Uh, we've got to prospect and get our foot in the door. My 2 cents would be find those that you enjoy working with. I've narrowed my realtors down to 7. And that because I enjoy working with them. They've got my back. I would encourage you to get involved with their spouses. Do family getaways with them. I love being down here this week. My agents don't expect me to pick my phone up. And if they go home frustrated, their spouse is going to say, yeah, but we like Brett. And it's about the family. And when they're gone on vacation, I want them to be gone and to have a balanced life out there. And so take time to get into it. That takes a couple years. I know it's discouraging when we start to build builder partners out there, but I found it's about a 2-year cycle before we're going to start to see all their business, no matter how good you are. And so just be patient. Build on the relationships. Just fundamental real-life experiences without them will go a long, long ways.
Well, my goals and stuff when I started in the business in '94 is the same as today. I always stuck around good people. I followed those who were doing it. I didn't ask people who weren't doing it. And even to this day, there's not a day that goes by that I'm not asking questions. And I just don't ask Chad or Hesh or Luke or one of our top producers in our office. I ask 9 different people for their opinions until I get a yes and a way to structure it and that sort of thing. So stick around. And even for veterans like us who do this every day, I mean, there's not a day that we're not learning something. So stay around good people, ask questions. Just don't ask one person and assume it's written in stone. That's a mistake on your part. Earn the trust of the people you work with. That way they know that you're not going to make one loan that's going to jeopardize everything that we have the fortune to be able to do, help people get home ownership. So just ask questions, set goals. You know, my goal is 3 apps a day. It's been that way since 1994. And if you take 3 apps a day, everything else will follow.
The market today versus when I got in the business isn't that much different. I got in the business primarily purchase market, a lot of govies, which is really similar to what we have today. Appraisal issues, which we still have today. So as far as if I had to start it over, I would definitely be going after the realtor business. There's a lot of realtors out there that don't have loan officers coming to visit them. So if a loan officer actually does show up, they're willing to talk to you because everybody else is ignoring them. Like Jason said, get with somebody that knows more than you do. You never know everything. Even today, I get a hard deal, I'm calling somebody, whether it's an underwriter, whether it's somebody in another area, somebody I met here, and just running the deal by them. Hey, this is what I got. Have you done anything like this? Do you think we can do it? And it's a constant learning. And sometimes you get, that's crazy, but you know what? I think you can do it. Other times you get, yeah, I've done it. Here's how we structured it. But whether you're new or you've been doing this for a long time, I think that's important. And whether your business is in place or you're starting over and building it, you're doing a lot of the same things. To keep your business going is basically what you need to do to build it.
I'm not sure what I can expand on here because everybody's got real good stuff. But what I would say if I had to start over again is, something I didn't have was I didn't have any kind of mentor. I didn't have anybody telling me how to do it or where to start. And I would say, like Charlie said, you got to find somebody that's better at it than you are and do everything that they're doing and do the right thing. I think the other thing is just really figuring out what you're good at. I mean, I suck at sales. I'm in the traditional sense. That's not my thing at all, but I'm a great loan technician. I mean, I love helping people, but I'm not that sales kind of a guy. It's hard for me to walk into an office and cold call. So I just figured in the very beginning, I just had to find as many people that I knew that I could either bond with and help out so they could just start selling me. And that's, I mean, until probably even recently, I mean, probably half the realtors I worked with I'd never even met, even over the span of 10 years. And I've been working with them for probably close to a decade, but they were extremely loyal. And, I'm the guy that's in the office, I'm at the phone, banging it away. And just, for me, it was just a matter of just staying extremely efficient. And when somebody needed something, I would do everything I could to help them. And that was kind of my niche.
Top producer study in regards to time allocation suggested that 1/3 of the time is spent by top producers on client acquisition, and the most effective client acquisition being purchase referral sources and past clients. And then about 1/3 of the time is spent with knowledge acquisition, and the balance of the time spent on pipeline management. Just for the audience to address if you fall into approximately this on your time allocation, and if not, maybe add to it.
Yeah, I'm 100% on board with that. I spend my mornings doing product knowledge. I spend the later part of my late morning doing all pipeline management, just watching anything and everything that needs help or a little nudge along. And then I usually am prospecting all afternoon. And a lot of the prospecting for me isn't necessarily doing cold calls or stuff like that. It's just reaching out to agents, reaching out to borrowers, doing follow-up, follow-through, things that they might have needed. My day is organized like to a T with regards to, I use a database, and anytime I talk to somebody, I'm writing notes down in my database, figure out what they need, what I need to do, and then I reset the task out for either another day when I know I need to follow up, and then I just forget about it and I move on to the next one. And every time those tasks pop up every day, I've got a whole list of them, and I just blow right through it, and I get everything done, and I always follow through with it. So that whole prospecting for me is huge in the afternoons, and the product knowledge part. Yeah, I mean I'm 100% on board with it. Probably it's a third.
Mine's probably a little bit different. The prospecting piece is probably smaller. I spend a lot of time during the day taking applications, a lot of time managing pipeline, and then I also manage an office. So a chunk of the time goes to helping other people, get their deals done. So for me, the prospecting piece is a little bit smaller, but as far as developing those realtor relationships, I guess if that's prospecting, there's a good percentage of the day that goes to that.
Well, one thing I've learned over the years, and in 06, 07, when most of us probably made a job transfer of some sort or job industry change or whatever, like I did, I was managing for 10 years in the subprime all-day world, one thing I knew immediately that I did not need to do was reinvent the wheel when I met Chad Moline in the business world. It's a model that of Chad's that he works on daily to perfect. Anyone who knows him, he doesn't accept anything less. And not having to reinvent that wheel and trusting your team behind you was where I'm now growing, and I'm learning to let go a little bit of the day-to-day operations. I don't have to stack that file. I don't have to tell them that, 4% is your best rate today. I can let my team be the salesperson. And so what I'm really going to focus on the remainder of this year is that longevity that you've heard, and those relationships where I'm spending 95% of my time just out there in the field, working with realtors, stopping by to see them, having that face-to-face. Like Brett said, people utilize me because they say Jason's a great guy, or he returns the call in 15 minutes. Those small things. He'll get you an answer. But that longevity and growing your team, enriching people's lives that I've helped. We now have our third team member, and helping them grow as a person, families, helping them. That's actually turning out to be one of the more rewarding things that I didn't necessarily see coming. And along with helping their careers and sharing the wealth a little bit, and it has allowed me to do more volume. I couldn't do it without them.
I like to say 70% probably in the client acquisition arena, about 10% trying to keep up on current guidelines. I would throw out on that component though, one of the best things I ever did was went to the School of Mortgage Banking with the Mortgage Bankers Association. Thought I knew the business, and I didn't know anything. Earl Nightingale said a long, long time ago, the experts in their fields write their own tickets out there, and so paid a bitter price a long time ago to understand how did this industry come about, how does it work, the back end, the front end, secondary, all that type of stuff, to know that out there. And that's allowed really just time for updates at this point. And so you can pay a quick price and get that under your belt to spend more time in other areas. And then the last probably 20% of the day is spent in pipeline management.
I'm probably the most efficient person you'll meet. I was sitting here listening to everyone discuss, and my day's just crazy. I mean, there's just really no other way to spin it and say I have it under control. when you have a large pipeline, you're closing a lot of loans. It's very difficult to plan your day. You never really know what's going to happen, and whether you're surrounded with your best team, your best ops. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm the quarterback. I'm the guy who's going to throw that touchdown pass and get the loan closed. I mean, take it today. I had a loan. I'm sitting there watching emails, and there was a mistake on the HUD, and the agent jumped down the closer's throat, and I didn't even have a chance to respond to fix it. So instead of sending out some numbers to another client, I had to fix that. So for me, the day, I never know what's going to happen, but it's always going to be the same. I'm fixing something. I'm the fireman. I'm the 911 guy. In fact, one of my agents came up with that a number of years ago. He had a loan blow up, and he called me, and I answered the phone. I said, hello, and he goes, 911, and it kind of stuck. And so, I'm a lot of the 911 calls for people. I wouldn't say my business is on autopilot, because if you do that before you know it, you'll be going the wrong direction. So I think that you do have to do all the things that are necessary to keep your business going, like prospecting and things like that. One thing that I do a little bit differently, and I'm not saying you should do it, but I don't go to realtors' offices, and one of the reasons I don't is that my agents love the fact that I'm in my office and answer my phone. And I can't tell you how many times, when a realtor gives out a loan officer's name, they usually say, well, call Sam first, he's the best. But if I don't answer that phone, the number 2 guy's not that far behind me. So one of the things that I've noticed is that my agents know they can get me on the phone. And if they have a hot prospect, they're going to get me. And so when I'm out in the field, and again, I should do it more, I do miss those calls. And borrowers are funny. I mean, you call them back an hour and a half later, they're like, oh, I already spoke to somebody. And you're just like, oh, okay. And you're done. One of the other things that I noticed and you guys should all try it, when you get a referral, ask the client who's calling, what did the referral source tell you about me? Meaning, I'll have one of my top agents say to this client, call Sam, and I'll say to the client, well, what did Nancy say about me? Not much, just said you were good. So you have to remember that you have to, when you get that first phone call, boom, you're on. You better put on your A game, and you better sell them on why, who you are and what you're all about. Every client that when I hang up the phone, I immediately send them an email, and I have a PDF of my bio. And it talks all about my accomplishments and who Academy is and what my source is, because the client doesn't know who you are. All they know is they have a name. So that really works out well. And then, I'm sort of on a sidebar here, aren't I? CPA financial planners, great source of business as well. So I think you can't lose sight of those. So a little bit different how I do my day.